Okay, so I was going to do a reading for veterans. I don't know why I was called to do it. I'm just doing it. And maybe it's because the 4th of July is right around the corner. It's a few days from now. I'm in Central Park and I am near the Dakota where John Lennon and Yoko Ono lived together. I feel like Yoko might still stay there. So veterans, what's going on? I have a few veterans in my family on both sides. Army, Air Force, Marines. Am I forgetting anyone? Navy. I have a brother in the Navy. So, I really do have a lot of family members that have been in the force. 2 aunts that are twins that are actually in the Air Force. Isn't that crazy? So veterans, you guys are very special because you have experiences that none of us will ever have on this planet. And that's very deep. That's very Plutonian, right? It's like a generational thing. You guys really understand where each other comes from, and it's kind of like, a lot of times you feel very isolated and in that world on your own of like the nostalgia and the memories, because they're not really, it's not like, some of the memories are really wonderful, but then some of them are kind of like not good. And I know that people have like their different variations of experiences within, a familiar experience or a similar, the same experience actually. So, this reading is just for all of you out there. And I'm doing it from the bottom of my heart and from the top of my head. Okay, so I'm gonna shuffle one, that's it. I'm gonna cut it. Okay, so at the bottom of the deck you have the Two of Swords. This is the card that Aries got this week, so that's really connected to military and vets, and Aries is the god of war, and we think of Thor when we think of that. This is the moon in Libra, so this is saying, you're really trying to get past certain emotions. It's like you have to make a choice sometimes. Every day is a choice to like get better and to look past the things that it is that you feel like you might be facing that are challenging you emotionally. It's like the difference between your head and your heart, right? So let's start with the top. Okay, that's good. Great. Actually, that's not so good. All right, good. Great. Okay. That. Damn. I'm gonna pull some clarification cards because you got like some of the most intense cards here. I mean, like towards the end too, the end is like the progression, like So let's just look and see what you guys got here. Okay, I took my shirt off because it's really hot in New York, and so vets, you guys are really trying to get out of a place of feeling the slander within. It's like those thoughts that you experience on a day-to-day basis that are basically discouraging and ones that don't make you feel very good. It's kind of like not seeing eye to eye with people, or not being able to feel like you guys have like a shared experience that you can relate to on a higher level. So, when you think of the 6 of Swords, that's Mercury in Aquarius, right? So that's just a little bit of an exaltation. Some people think that Mercury is exalted in Aquarius. I would say that I agree with that. The 6 of Swords is a very beautiful card. It's probably the most beautiful card in the sword suit because it's talking about moving away and getting out of conflict. Conflict that could go either way, right? You could choose to stay within the conflict, or you could choose to, move out of it. It's kind of really about changing your perspective and renewing your mind, recalibrating your mind. It's kind of like you have to reinforce positive things in there, but you also have to acknowledge those deep things that really are there, and that's gonna come later in this reading, and I'll get to that. But really, it's just talking about trying to get past all of the painful memories that you have of the past, right? You want to see a better day for yourself. You want to feel better every day when you wake up, right? Everyone does. And I think that, you know, the relationships that you have with people are just as important as the relationship that you have with yourself. So, you know, sometimes we look to other people to help us feel better when really we need to look at ourselves and look inside, you know, and think about that inner teacher that we have. In your sun position, you have the Father of Swords, which is Aquarius. It's like, you know, the father of perspective, I think, because Aquarians have a really objective mind. They're able to see many different sides of many different personalities and realities as well. You know, they're very like almost alien too. So when you think of the Father of Swords, this is someone who is very mentally astute. They have a mentally fortified mind. You know, it's very strong. It's fixed. So, you know, it's almost like your thought process is fixated on these experiences that you've had that stay with you, because you can't unknow something once you know it, right? It really is just how you change your perspective in order to deal with it. So this card is really saying that you guys need to identify, or you should try, if you're not, to identify with that person that you know that you are and who you were before you learn these things about other people and your environment that you're in, and the atmosphere of whatever, you know, politics come with your lives and the karma that you have gained from, you know, out of being a veteran. In your moon, you know, there are some frustrations as far as you feeling like, once again, you're able to relate to people. It's like when you guys talk to people about the things that you're going through and what you're experiencing, it's almost like they're not able to connect with you, so you feel like it's like a waste of your time, right? Or it's almost like you feel like they think that you're lying about some of the things that you experience just because it's so intense and it's so deep. I'm in the park. It's outside. We're outside. So anyway, you know, this is saying that there are people that you can talk to. You don't have to think that everyone is going to take your experience and like not bring any weight to it or any emotional depth to your experience just because it's not a shared experience, right? There are really some empathic people out there that can relate to you and try to get an understanding of what it is that you've been through. In your recent past, you have the Ten of Pentacles, so there's something going on with your physical body. Some of you actually might have some injuries or some pains or some aches or something. You know, you might be getting older, and that might be the reason why. But this also has to do with your family, you know. You might be feeling a little bit, you know, like you want to be closer to your family. Maybe these issues that you have with, you know, your physical body, or, you know, just like what you're able to manifest, your material gains and your wealth. That's something that you were really concerned about in the past. Maybe you guys have actually, you know, maybe there were some things that were revealed or discovered, or some new beginnings in terms of, you know, what you're able to manifest, or what you're working with, what you actually have that you can show for yourselves. I think that some of you might even be thinking about going back to school and getting your education. That's a great thing, you know. The world is always changing, and you know, there are always different things that are like at the top of interest as far as like what people are making money off of and how people are generating income for themselves. And you know, I was thinking today to buy some stocks, so some of you might want to do that, you know, get in there and try to get some investments going. It's saying here that, you know, luck is on your side. Jupiter, that's what this is, the Wheel of Fortune. So when you think about the Wheel of Fortune, you think about where you are on that wheel, because it's like the earth is always spinning, it's always turning, and wherever you are in the swing of things, on that wheel that's turning will determine how you handle things. Really, this is about how you handle things as they come along, right? Because this is a Sagittarius card and it's mutable, and usually those are like situations that need to get handled, things that need to sort of like come to a close with each mutable season. So with this Sagittarius card here, it means that you might be trying to like reach some level of like productivity or progress as far as like how you're able to expand yourself. And I feel like you guys are thinking of really different and creative ways of doing that, because you have to, right? It's like you don't want to stick with the status quo, because you are not the status quo. You're not like everyone else. Your immediate influence as far as the Wheel of Fortune is like the restrictions that you have in the mind, right? The restrictions of like feeling better about whatever it is that you've gone through, because this is Saturn in Libra, and this is talking about restrictions in your relationships and restrictions just in like, you know, your ability to be able to relate to people, and to really just put like, you know, you have to forgive your past, you know. Also, this is a card of maybe blaming yourself for a lot of things. You probably want to think twice before you do that, because it's like, it's not your fault that you've experienced pain. You know, a lot of times we get disillusioned, and then we can only blame ourselves for that disillusionment. And you know, you just have to really practice self-compassion in terms of expanding, because, you know, that could be the blockage and the restriction that is preventing you from expanding. You know, you want to move past those thoughts that are actually traumatizing. You know, you guys have had some traumatizing situations, and it's like you really have to go to a spiritual place in order to formulate a certain mental structure, so that you can think within your thought process again freely. Yeah. In your future, you have the Fool, which is like one of the most spiritual cards of the deck. This is a card of like hope and faith and destiny. This is like the O in the word God, right? So when you think about God, God is everywhere. This card could be placed anywhere in the tarot deck, and it would still have the same effect. It doesn't really matter where it is, right? So this is a card of sort of being confident and not knowing where you actually are going to end up, just because you have your abilities, you have your thought process, you have your experiences, and all of those things to take with you to formulate new experiences and new relationships with other people. And you know, this is a very hopeful card, and it's saying that the possibilities are endless. It's one of great opportunity and one of great determination. It's kind of like determining to be happy, right? Going off into the abyss, and, you know, just being very abundantly hopeful, right? That's what we need from you guys, because you guys are your heroes. So you know, you should feel like that. We should be making you feel like that. Your anxieties, you have the Chariot. So this is a 7, and this is talking about conflict with an advantage. The Chariot card rules Cancer. So this is talking about, you know, you have anxieties in moving forward, right? You know, crabs move from side to side, and they move on these angles. You know, it's kind of like how they keep a good vantage point from like their predators, right? If you can stay facing your predator and move side to side to side, and then, you know, that's pretty good. You can keep yourself under protection, and that's how you have anxieties of not feeling protected, right? You don't feel protected maybe by the government, or you maybe don't feel protected by society, and you may not feel like people are able to relate to you on an emotional level, just because it's, you know, the despair that comes along with who you are sometimes, some of you, not all of you, and the blended pleasure that comes along with it too, because you're like, oh, everybody says I'm a hero, but I don't feel like a hero. Oh, you know, I'm taken care of by the government, but I'm not really taken care of by the government. It's like those types of things. So you really want to move forward. We are in Cancer season right now, so the sun is calling for all of us to identify with our feelings and think about how we feel. Because once you think about who you are, what you have, what you say, how you feel, then you can like bring it into, you've got all the 4 elements right there, so you can transmute that energy into something that is actually going to make you shine, because Leo is the 5th sign. We're going into that phase next. So you know, just think about how you can take advantage of opportunities in order to generate something for yourself, generate some income, generate some interest, generate some new passions for yourself. Maybe you want to try something that you've never tried before, and you are really interested in it. You know, cardinal seasons are really ones of initiations and taking initiative, and that's really what you guys should be doing. In your will, I have Mercury in Cancer. So this is really talking about communications of feelings and communications of, you know, needs, and communicating with people that can empathize with you, because it's really about empathy when you're thinking of things like this and how you can get closer to people. Yeah, so this is kind of like getting together with like-minded people. You might be going to some sort of like event that might be for veterans, or you might just be having like some, you know, family-oriented events, things like that. It is the summer, so some of you need to do that. Maybe you guys can go out to like ball games and things like that. Social events that are like very summery. I don't know. I get tongue-tied sometimes when I'm doing these things because I'm talking so much. I'm not a big talker, even though I'm a Libra. Your advice in terms of getting out there and sort of like being a part of society a little bit more, creating opportunities for you to get out more and see people and have joyful experiences, right? This card, Three of Cups. Getting out there and sharing joyful experiences with people, or maybe you're sharing experiences that you've had that other people can appreciate, right? Because it's an appreciation within a group of people for something. Yeah, I feel like you guys should definitely get into that. That's going to bring about a little bit more structure for you. I'll let you see my eyes. There's like Orioles and things around. So your advice to that is that's going to bring an ending to, you know, these feelings of despair and these feelings of pain that you feel like you can't really get past. And you sometimes with Scorpios, because this is the death card and the death card represents Scorpio, sometimes with Scorpios they feel like no one will ever understand what it is that they're going through because they feel it so deeply and so intensely. But what they need to understand, which is something that they should have learned from Libra, is that we are all here and we are all having this experience and we are all having feelings towards something, right? I see the grass, I see the tree, just like you do. So don't tell me that no one is going to understand or be able to empathize or sympathize with your feelings or whatever you're feeling. Trust me, everybody has something. I'm ruled by Pluto because I have Pluto in my first house and I have Saturn. So I know what it's like being in those trenches of your own life, right? Fighting that battle for yourself. Scorpio rules the skeleton. So it's really about having the spine to really stand up against, you know, whatever it is that is trying to place fear inside of you. And you guys know about fear, right? You know about fear firsthand from the moment that you set foot on the plane to go off into this basic training. You guys can do this. You can do this you can use this transformative energy, right? Jupiter's in Scorpio right now. Jupiter is in Scorpio right now, so it's really shining light onto a lot of things. We've been doing a lot of things as far as like, or having a lot of experiences. Ever since that solar eclipse last year at the end of Leo season in August, I believe it was, or it might have been at the end of July, there was some crazy stuff going on in the world, and there still is, you know, but some things have settled, and now we're getting into the second phase of whatever it is that we're experiencing right now. You know, your outcome is saying, step out of that prison. This is the Devil card, right? It's represented by Capricorn. Step out of that prison of feeling disillusionment, right? And feeling like you're bound to this situation that only only you can appreciate, right? It's like you don't want to appreciate this situation because this situation is lying to you, right? It's saying that there is nothing better than just being in this place of feeling like, you know, solitude and being alone in your thoughts and your feelings, or maybe drinking too much, or maybe doing drugs too much, or maybe smoking too much, or maybe indulging in things too much, right? It's saying you need to let go of that and focus on your shit so that you can become this boss and become this person that actually has a new sense of value towards their life and what their purpose is and their place in the world. We just had a Capricorn full moon. The moon was there, Pluto was there, Saturn was there, okay? And the sun was opposite in your house of relationships. So it's shining light on your relationship, saying that you also need to fix those too, right? You can get out of this prison of feeling like you don't have anything to offer, or feeling like you're stuck to someone or stuck to a way of life that you can't break out of. Maybe you're too dependent on something and you feel like they have too much power over you, right? So this is saying release yourself of those chains and those shackles and become your own boss. You can do that. Become your own boss by buying those stocks that I was talking about earlier. I know who I want to buy stock with. Today, I figured it out. Okay, so let's open up what your clarification cards are. Okay, some of you are worried about, you know, being a father, or some of you are worried about, you know, the father of your children, or some of you might be feeling a little bit, you want this transformation to happen, and you have Pluto here as the Judgment card, crowning the Death card. So it really is saying that you have to really extract from the best part of yourself in order to bring a little bit of a closure to this situation that you've been going through. Let me just pull one more card from the top here. Mother of Cups. So this is saying you do need that nurturement. You do need that love. You do need that maternal figure in your life. A lot of you want to feel better, and you know that once you fix these problems that you feel like you're having with yourself, you will feel better. Oh, my left leg is like going crazy. Okay, he's shredded. So I think I'm gonna end the video here, you guys. Oh no, I can't, because you have the Hierophant too. Sorry. This is talking about, you know, institutions, right? So you feel like you can't move forward from this institution, but it's saying you can. And once you think of ways to move forward from the institutionalized feeling of feeling, you know, bound to something, bound to the institutionalization of who you are and what you have become, don't institutionalize these feelings. These feelings they are institutionalized because it's Saturn, and Saturn is teaching you something, but once you've learned that lesson, it's time to move on, right? Once you've learned that lesson, it's time to move on. So you guys might be feeling like you might be joining like different churches or different like spiritual groups, or just, you know, listening to your inner ear, right? When you have conflict like this, then sometimes the best thing to do is go to a spiritual place in order to like fix it or repair it, right? This is about routine, keeping the work effort going, right? Then you'll be able to unlock many things. The Judgment card is saying that you need a renewed sense of self, right? It's like the Judgment card comes, right? You start understanding a little bit more about your situation and the realization of things, what you can become, the magic of that, the magic of what you can become, the magic of your generation, the beauty of your generation, the pain of your generation, right? Get out of that place. Get out of that dark place, dark, cold place. Use that depth of feeling and dig yourself out of that hole that you might be in, some of you. You know, a lot of you are feeling really energized as far as like, you know, what your situation is. You might be intimidated by like taking action on something, but really you're saying take that action because, you know, you've got luck on your side. Is how you're going to get past this feeling of, you know, psychological damage and scorn here with this. I know this card. I lived that shit. So yeah, the Devil's here. That's talking about restrictions. The Death card is here talking about transformation. The Hierophant is here. It's talking about institutions, marriage. The Chariot is here. It's talking about forward movement, taking charge, taking responsibility, being held accountable for what you want by yourself. You've got the Fool card here, one of hopes, one of, you know, a joint effort with you and Spirit to make your life better. That's really what, you know, I feel like that card is. The Judgment card is here, purification, therapy. Some of you may need to go to therapy based on, you know, this, because after this right here, the Judgment card comes right away. So once you get that therapy, it's actually going to get you closer to a spiritual placement that you need to be, a higher vibration. Those are your major arcana cards. You got the Ten of Pentacles here saying that something that you tried to manifest in the past is actually, you know, worth trying. Do that. That's going to help you, right? It's like in the past you were trying to manifest something. This is Ten of Pentacles, yes? Ten of Pentacles. There's another 10th Pentacle right there in the center of that center pentacle, right? So at the heart of you, you really want to be able to build something else for yourself, right? You want to see yourself go to that next level, right? You've achieved so many things, even just by being in the service. And this is for people who are in, you know, active service and, why can't I think, in the reserve service as well. Yes. There is not only one way. Right? If you feel like you're suffering, you shouldn't feel like you should stay there just because it's what's happened to you. What happened to you is the past. You need to be thinking about the future. Because if you stay stuck in your past, you'll never be able to step forward into your future. So turn around, put one foot in front of the other, and then do that again, and then do that again, and keep doing that. I love you guys. And, you know, if some of you want to see your family, reach out to them and let them know. All right, this was a reading for veterans, you know, and, you know, retired police officers, firefighters, all of those types of veterans, okay? Love you guys. Have a good week and enjoy your 4th of July.